What if I told you that after this upcoming football season, Illinois goes 6-6 in the regular season, Nebraska goes 10-2 and crashes the college football playoff party, Michigan repeats last season and goes 7-5, or that Ohio State makes another deep run in the playoffs? What would you say to that? In today's video, I cover 9 teams in the Big Ten, 3 who are overrated, 3 who are underrated, and 3 where the hype, you could say, is justified around their program. It's going to be a really fun episode. This is not an all encompassing deep dive on all 9 programs, just why each team is where I categorize them. Without further ado, we've spent enough time on this intro, and let's dive right in. Kicking things off here, let's go to my underrated teams in the Big Ten. This is not an all-encompassing list. I think Purdue's underrated, but etc. But these are 3 teams that I want to highlight here: Nebraska, Michigan State, and UCLA. Let's start with Nebraska here. For Nebraska to progress, Dylan Raiola must progress. If Nebraska is to get to where I think that they are destined to be, which is 9 wins, possibly 10 wins, at the very not the very least, but at the least in that spectrum, 8 wins. If they're to be in that area, you know, people talking about them for a college football playoff, Dylan Raiola must progress. What he did last year was fine for a true freshman guy. Double-digit interceptions, but also a lot of touchdowns. It was one of the better seasons out there for a true freshman, and I mean, it was a better season than DJ Lagway's was. And DJ Lagway is the golden boy of everyone right now. So I think that Dylan Raiola must progress. What he did last year was, like I said, was great, but it can't happen again. If it happens again, they're going to win 7 games because it was like a 7-game winning season that Raiola had. If he cuts down on the turnovers, if he makes a little bit smarter decisions and he grows in his accuracy, then I think that he will be a really, really good quarterback. And I think that will help Nebraska get to 9 wins. And that comes with having great skill position players, which they do. Emmett Johnson, great skill guy, great receiving back out of the backfield. Is he a guy that can take it 20 times between the tackles? I don't think so. And that's why I have pause with this running back room. But as a player, I think that he's a very dynamic guy that can break a lot of tackles, turn, 15-yard gains into 50-yard gains, stuff like that when he did it last year when he was on the field. And he'll be on the field for the majority of the time, I think. And I think that he is just a great player. Then when you look at the wide receivers, one of the best wide receiver rooms in the Big Ten, in my opinion, hands down. I would say probably top 15 nationally in terms of wide receiver rooms. You got a guy in there in Ja'Cory Barney who returns, was a true freshman last season at 170 pounds, light frame guy. He was just lit up all the time. In 70 plus targets, he did not have one single drop. And you can go check that on PFF. That's where I saw it. I mean, he's just a stud. And for him to have over 500 yards as a true freshman, I think that he's a guy that will easily eclipse 800 this season and possibly double-digit touchdowns, total touchdowns, because he had a couple rushing as well. They like to use jet sweeps with him. And then you bring in the senior elder statesman in this room in Dane Key, who is really, really good in my opinion, coming in from Kentucky. Not a guy who's going to just break a bunch of records, but he's a guy that I think will play a lot like Jamal Banks last year, like an upgraded version of him. And then you have Nizia Hunter, who comes in, who's very underrated as well, had 500 plus yards in his redshirt freshman season at Cal. And then you have awesome linebackers as well. Vincent Shavers, Deshaun McCullough, and Javin Wright, I think, are really, really good as well. So this Nebraska team could very easily do a lot of great things this season, in my opinion, that a lot of people are kind of sleeping on. Michigan State. Same thing with Nebraska. Aiden Childs has to cut down on the turnovers. He's an elite quarterback when he's got the ball in his hands, but the ball comes out of his hand really easily, let's just say. I mean, he had like 4 or 5 fumbles. He had double-digit interceptions. If he cuts down on even half the interceptions, he is a Heisman candidate quarterback, in my opinion. And then you have very exciting wide receivers on this team. You have Nick Marsh, who, don't get me started on him. I really like him as a wide receiver. I think he's one of the better wide receivers in the Big Ten. I think by the end of the season, or even next season, he could be a top 3 receiver in the Big Ten. Really, I think he's that good. Then you bring in 2 guys from smaller schools in Omari Kelly and Krishan McCray, who bring in a ton of production, just a ton of production. And I really like that as well. Then is one of the top staffs in the country, in my opinion. Very, very good at when they were at Oregon State. And here at Michigan, I think that they're going to be doing great things under Jonathan Smith. Then you go to UCLA. UCLA has one of the top quarterbacks in the Big Ten, in my opinion, and that is not an exaggeration. Nico Iamaleava was one of the top quarterbacks in the SEC last season, just from a statistical standpoint and just from a talent standpoint. And you're going to the Big Ten where yeah, there are some great quarterbacks, but a lot of them were either in their first year with their team or were, just whatever. And I think that Nico is one of those guys who's really going to light it up this season. And the scrappy nature of their head coach and Deshaun Foster, he's a motivator. He's a people's people, you could say. He's a head coach that plays that coaches for his players. He's very young, and he's a guy who I really began to like at the end of the season. At the beginning of the season, I was like, what is this guy doing? But I think it was mostly on him and the scrappy nature of the way he plays or has his players play, really. Sorry, I keep saying that he plays in the game. No, he doesn't. But the way he has his players play, I think that that's the main reason why they won against Nebraska and Iowa last season, to give them a pretty darn good record of 5-7. The way their team was, I mean, their team was not built to win more than 4 games last season, and they ended up winning 5. So I really like that about him. And then the returning front seven is critical. I cannot pronounce half their names because they're all Polynesian. I'm very sorry about that, but I think that they all return. They're all returns from last season, so that really helps them out. So those are my 3 underrated teams, and like I said, there are others out there. I think Wisconsin could be one. I think that Iowa could be one, and I think that Purdue could be one. But that's another topic not another topic, but it's you can't cover all of them. So it's 3 here who I really think are underrated. So let's go now to the overrated ones. Now we turn our attention to the overrated teams, and here are where the comments come rolling in, and I want you to comment down below if this is totally offline, if this is totally off kilter, or if you agree with me here with these overrated teams, or there are more that you would like to put down in the comments. Anything you want to comment, just comment it down below. I'm going to respond to all of them anyway, so why not? Anyway, so my 3 overrated teams: Washington, Michigan, and Illinois. Washington, because let's face it. The way people talk about Damon Williams Jr. and this team is that they're going to make the college football playoff. They're going to win a college football playoff game. Yes, that is on the far end of the hype train for Washington, but people have them pegged at a strong 8 to 9 to even 10 wins, and I don't really even see that. Trench plays a huge question with this team. I don't trust their offensive line. Their defensive line, it struggled to, create some real consistent pressure on the quarterback. That's what I mean to say. Consistent pressure on the quarterback. Their offensive line and defensive line, I really don't trust that well right now, and that's a huge problem. And overall depth. It's the same thing with UCLA. If once we get closer to the season's end, they're going to start to play way worse because you're going to be playing guys who are banged up, and you can't be substituting them because the guys behind them just aren't as good. And let's be honest, this is how it is for these West Coast teams and how it was in the Pac-12. You can get away with lower depth, and that's how it is in the Big 12 right now. You can get away with having lower depth. But you just can't in the Big Ten, especially when you go play at teams like Illinois, where we'll cover them in a second, teams like Nebraska, Iowa, Michigan State, these teams that are going to punch you in the mouth. You have to be able to punch back, and if you do not have the depth, then you're not going to be able to. And then defensive questions just across the board for me. I don't like their linebackers as much. I think that they need to be bigger. I don't like their pass rush, and I struggle to find anyone outside of Takario Davis that's going to be good in the secondary. I really do. They're going to be forced, in my opinion, to be playing a lot of freshmen. It just doesn't seem quite like it doesn't seem to be a 8 to 9 to 10 win team, in my opinion. And I could be wrong, but a part of this, what I did not put out there, a lot of the driving force here is in Damon Williams Jr. And the guy's played 2, maybe 3 games in his career, and we're dubbing him, the Heisman favorite for 2026 and, a really strong candidate this year. I just don't see it. I do not see it. He played a fantastic game in the bowl game. A meaningless bowl game between a middling ACC team and a 6-6 Washington team. I get it, but let's not get it twisted here. He hasn't played against any Big Ten team worth a darn. Go play Michigan. Go play Illinois. Go play Nebraska. Go play Indiana, Wisconsin, Ohio State, Penn State, USC. Go play those teams. And if you get through that schedule and you're still a great quarterback, I'll give you your flowers. But you haven't played anyone in the Big Ten that's worth a darn yet. You haven't played them well, in my opinion. So I think everyone needs to back up when it comes to talking about Demond Williams Jr. Yes, is he talented? Absolutely. Absolutely. But is he a player that's just going to light it up instantly? No, I don't think so. Moving to Michigan here. Michigan, QB questions. Still, I have this up here because they brought in another transfer quarterback in Jamie Garcia. Why in the spring portal, very late in the window? Why would they do that when they already have Mikey Keene as a solid backup to, Bryce Underwood? If Bryce Underwood was a clear number one starter, they would. I guarantee you, they do not bring in Jamie Garcia. They see something in Underwood's development that is alarming to them. That's the only reason why they bring in a guy like Jamie Garcia. Jamie Garcia is a stopgap guy. He's a guy that's he's a lot like Mikey Keene. Start 3 games, give him, 1 or 2 wins there, play decently well to not decently well, I guess you can say, and then, just right off into the sunset from there. So the QB room is still a big question mark for me. Yes, they have an uber talented guy in there right now who's going to pan out for them, I think, in the future, but still. And then this terrible receiver room. I mean, having McCulley as your number one guy, it's not good. It's not a good receiver room. This was worse than last season. Last season was terrible. It was awful. But this season, I think, is worse, in my opinion. And it doesn't hold a candle to 2023's receiver room with Roman Wilson and the like. And that room was even considered mid at the time. So I think that receiver room is really going to hold him back. And game management questions. I mean, Sharon Moore can recruit. I mean, we're seeing that right now. I think I'll create a video on that very soon. But I mean, in game, he wasn't that great last season. Obviously, the Ohio State game aside. So I think that Michigan, along with that, is I don't completely trust their offensive line. I think that they possibly got worse at the running back position. I don't think that they have a guy that can carry the ball 20 times a game in that room, which is why they have a couple good guys, and I like their guys in their room, but still. Moving to Illinois now, I think they're very weak in the trenches. I think that they were weak last season and they got away with it. They're seen as a team who's going to win, 8 to 9 to even 10 wins and, seen as a top 15 team almost nationally. But I just don't see that. I mean, top 20 to 25, maybe if even. But this is a team that I think could struggle to even win a bowl game, in my opinion. I think that I have them pegged for 7 to 6 wins. In my opinion, 8 would be, the most they would be getting here. They have a very thin receiver room. They lost a lot of guys from last year, and the secondary, in my opinion, is not up to snuff for them. So these are my overrated teams. Let's move on. So here are my last 3 teams. You could say the hype is justified with them. There are teams that are justified in where people are ranking them right now. I have Indiana, Penn State, and Ohio State. But before we get to that, a little call of action here to you guys watching. As you can see here, I own a small channel. At time of recording, 338 subscribers to be exact. If you are watching this video and would really like to help out a college football content creator that is, I'm posting at least from now on probably 3 to 4 videos a week. I've been doing 2 videos a week. I'm going to be upping the content here on the channel. Going to start to go more into team-based stuff, matchups-based stuff, all while still covering the news and all that. So if you want to help out a college football creator who is trying his hardest to get up in this space, go ahead and subscribe. Subscribing is the best way to support the channel, and liking the video as well. Sharing it, obviously, that's a huge plus. You don't need to do that, but if you do, it would be very nice. And like I said before, commenting your thoughts down below. Comment anything, and I'll probably respond to it. Comment something completely related off topic. My favorite sandwich. I don't care. If you comment something, I'll respond to it most likely. So, shameless plug, I know. Now, let's get back to the video. Ohio State. I think their under win total is at 10.5. I think that's perfect. That's right where they're going to be. I think they're going to have 10 or 11 wins. They will not be undefeated. And I mean, they won the national title last season with a record of 10-2. So let's not get it twisted. Ohio State's going to lose some games this year, but I do think that they're right in the title conversation. I think that they are a top six team. I think the lowest you can put them is six, the highest you can put them is two, in my opinion. I think I have them in my top 25. I had them three. So I think that they have the best wide receiver room in the country, and hands down. I don't even think it's particularly close, in my opinion. And a young, fresh defense. I mean, this defense completely retooled with players that sat the bench last season. But I mean, all these guys are 4 and 5 stars off the bench anyway. So it is something that is really key here. They're young, they're fresh, and they're talented. And I think that could be totally a plus for Ohio State. Their defensive line, especially, all young guys. Now, do they have a big bruiser in the middle of that defensive line? I don't think so, which could, you know, have some problems. But I still think that it's one of these rooms, one of these defenses that is going to be another top defense. Are they going to be the number one defense again? No. Uh, I mean, they do not have the experience in there needed to be number one, but could they be top 10? Absolutely. And an extremely fresh and talented quarterback in Julian Sayin. I'm a Julian Sayin fan. I really like his game. If he can really prove me right throughout the season, this team can go a long way. Indiana, I think they're pegged for 8.5. I think that is their win total, and I think that's right there. I think that they'll win 9, 10 games. A lot. I think they're going to be a lot like where Nebraska is going to be, 8, 9 to 10 wins. And I think that Fernando Mendoza is better than Curtis Rourke from last season. Rourke was hurt for a couple games. He wasn't a very good runner. Wasn't good in the cold. And Mendoza, I think that he is he's a great runner in my opinion when he does end up running, but he's more of a pocket passer, and that's good. He's a passer first, then a runner, and that's what you want out of your quarterback. And I think that he has better arm talent than Rourke, and I think that he last year did really good with less, in my opinion. And this goes into where they have, Elijah Surratt coming back, and they have a fantastic offensive line. And I think that Indiana just has the weapons around him to really help accentuate that growth. And then they have a treacherous front seven. Oh, don't get me started on their front seven. I mean, their front seven is amazing in my opinion. You start with a guy at the defensive end position in Mikhail Kamara, excuse me, and he is just a stud. Last year, double-digit sacks, just everything. One of the most underrated defensive ends in the country, in my opinion. Then you go to guys like Aiden Fisher, D'Angelo Pons at linebacker. Both those guys are amazing. Point being, their front seven is borderline elite, in my opinion, with the star power that they have. And a great coaching staff. This coaching staff brought in a bunch of 3 stars that were their guys, and they made 10 wins in their first year in the Big Ten out of it. And I mean, you can't ask for anything better if you're an Indiana fan or a college football fan. If you want your program to run right and quick, I mean, this is the way to do it right here. Get your guys from the portal to come with you. And I mean, they have to pan out as your guys, and they did in Indiana. I think we'll just keep running it back as long as they have this attitude. Then Penn State. Penn State is, I think, odds-on favorite to win the Big Ten, to be a high seed in the college football playoff, to make it the college football playoff run, and I think that they're right there. There is no weakness on this football team. I tried to find a weakness on this football team other than James Franklin's in-game coaching, and it's just not there. You go to the secondary, you have A.J. Harris. You go to the linebackers, you have just a stud crew of linebackers there. You go to the front, 4 guys, their defensive line, studs all over the defensive line. Donnie Dennis, Sutton, Zane Durant, etc. And you go to the offense, quarterback, check. Running backs, check. Offensive line, check. Wide receivers, I don't think that's a weakness. Trevor Pena, 4-star out of the portal from Syracuse, really, really good. And they got other guys in there as well that my memory escapes, but still, point being, they just have guys all over the field. From a roster standpoint, there is no weakness on this team. Really does remind me of like I hate to say it, but like the Georgia teams in 21, 22, 23 that just were unstoppable. There was no way to scheme around them because there was no place to go around, really. And they have great coordinators. I think that they have the best defensive coordinator in the country, and they have the best offensive coordinator in the country. And I think that that's really, I think a lot of people would resonate with that. And I mean, just the star power everywhere on this team is just unheard of in my opinion. So that's it for me. Thank you guys so much for watching this video. Do what I told you to do at the beginning of this segment, and let me know your thoughts down below. Subscribe as always, and I will be seeing you guys in the next one.